And there's only two things left to do: the CPU cooler and the graphics card. Graphics card will be the easier of the two, and it's probably right about time right now to install it. Now it's going to go into this port here. If I was using a Crossfire setup, then I would put my two cards down here. Speaking of which though, there is, since we pulled one of the ports out from back here, I'm going to need to replace my bracket on the back here. So I'm just going to put this here and screw it back into place. There we go. Close it up again. Now let's grab the graphics card here. This graphics card has to be powered up. And if you remember when I removed it, it has these two connectors here. So we're just going to reinstall that by connecting the power supply to it. And just make sure you use, in this case, there's a 6-pin and an 8-pin. I'm going to use the 8-pin first and just snap it into place. You hear it there, snapping. And then the 3-pin. There we go. Snapped into place. And it's a tight fit here, but it does fit. So let's just get it back into position here. Just match up the connectors there and slide it into place. Once you slide it in correctly, it should lock right into place here. So all I need to do now is mount it here on the back to make sure that it's locked into place, just like I had it before I pulled it out. One down, one to go. There we go. Nice and tight, mounted into place, not going anywhere. Now there's just one last thing to install here, and that's the CPU cooler. Now if you remember, when I removed it, there's a lot of thermal paste on there. So to remove that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a paper towel and just kind of get the excess off. And then I'm going to take a Q-tip dipped in rubbing alcohol and wipe it totally clean. Once that's done, I'll put some thermal paste on the CPU here. Now there's a lot of different methods of doing it. The last time I did it in one of my videos, it was recommended that you just put a drop in the center, and then when you mount the CPU cooler, it pushes the thermal paste out. I'm going to do the same way I did it the last time. I appreciate the advice, and you know what you're talking about. The only reason I'm going to do a small coat on the entire thing is because, you know, any CPU cooler I've seen usually has a nice coating on the heatsink itself. So, you know, I want to go with that method, and I'm going to use a card and get it nice and even all over the CPU here, and then put the CPU cooler on. So let's clean off the CPU cooler and get to it. Alright, here's the cooler here, and here's some isopropyl alcohol. And I'm just going to put a little bit on the paper towel here. And I'm just going to wipe this off here. There you go, thermal paste. Probably won't need the Q-tips for this, but when I clean the CPU off, the old CPU, I will need the Q-tips then. And if you do have any question on how to clean clean thermal paste off, I have previous videos on it. So definitely check that out if you're interested. Now, it's probably going to be a lot easier for me to apply the thermal paste on here instead of the CPU. Can use my card a little bit better on there to smooth it out, and that's usually the way that CPU coolers come. They come with the thermal paste on there already, or sometimes they do. It's not always that way. But So I'm going to put thermal paste on here. I don't have to worry about putting it on my CPU. What I did is I cut I cut one index card up and made a couple of little spatulas with it. You can actually buy spatulas for thermal paste. They're plastic and it helps you smooth it out on there. I figure a note card works just as well. Now, you can get different kinds of thermal paste. You can get Arctic Silver, which is one of the best, if not the best. And this, the Noctua NT-H1, is very high quality thermal paste. And it comes with the cooler itself, which is probably one of the best coolers you can actually get. There's the Noctua NT-H1. I also have Arctic Silver here. I'm going to use the Noctua though. Alright, just going to open this up here and put a little drop in the center here. And close it back up. And then just spread it around. I'm going to use my homemade spatula here and just want to get an even coat on everything. Now the consistency is like paste, as the name suggests. Alright, there we go. I have a nice even coat of thermal paste on the CPU cooler. And now we're ready to mount it. Okay. This is the Intel mounting set that comes with the Noctua cooler. So it also comes with a back plate. So we're going to have to install this back plate right here. And then there's other mounting brackets that we put on the front. So let's open this up and get going here. Now this back plate here, it's nice and hefty here. Now in this case, it's got a rubber backing and it has a rubber inlay here that you can pull out. So for my needs, I'm keeping the rubber inlay out. Now you have these mounting pieces here. It's got a hexagonal top and then it has threads at the other end of it. You want to slide it into the bracket itself, and let me just show you this bracket here. It's going to go in like this, and then these go in here, and as you can see, because of the hexagonal top, it'll actually be locked into place there. Okay? So I'm just going to put this into place here and push these straight through to the other side. Now that's in place. Now we're going to flip this over and we're going to attach the other side brackets on. Now just because the bracket kind of goes under the case here, it should hold into place, but we'll see. Okay. Now it comes with these spacers here, these little black plastic spacers. I want to take these and put them on each of the mounting points here. Alright, now since this side, if you remember, the side of the back bracket is kind of lodged under the case there, they fit nicely. This side is kind of sinking down. So I'm just going to push that up with my hand there on the other side. And I'm going to put the spacers on this side as well. And then we're going to put these brackets on here, and they look like parentheses. And you want to put it with the trench facing upward, not the smooth side, okay? Because that's where the mounting bolt is, and that's where your Noctua mounts to, right there, okay? So I'm just going to fit these on there like that. And then you get these thumb screws, which you can also screw with a Phillips head, and you attach these parentheses brackets on there. I'm just going to get them started so I can get my hand out from under the back here, so I don't have to support the back bracket anymore. And then we can use the screwdriver. Alright, it's in place. We're just going to use the Noctua Phillips head screwdriver and tighten it all down. And again, you just want it nice and snug but not crazy tight. You just want to be able to have it mounted down. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the CPU cooler in. And this CPU cooler is a monster here, so I'm just going to put it over to the side. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to attach the power into the motherboard here. So the CPU fan plug is right there, and I'm just going to plug this in. Because if I don't do it now, it's going to be difficult to get my fingers back there. So I'm going to put this fan to the side here, and I'm going to flip this over and install this giant CPU cooler. Now all you want to do on this is pretty simple. You just want to match up these screws with the bolts I showed you down here. Okay? Now the thing about these screws is that they're hollow. Okay? So it's going to accept the screw into it. So it's more like a nut, but on the other end it looks like a screw. Okay? So I'm just going to install it like so. Set it down into place here, and hopefully that lined it up properly. Just going to grab my tool here again and see if we can get this started. I'm feeling a bite there. All right. It's tightening down nicely. Alright, it's nice and snug in place. There we go. CPU cooler installed. Let's just make sure that all these cords are out of the way here. And the next thing to do is just put the center fan in. And putting the center fan is an easy install because you just have these clips here. And just slide it down into the center and pull the clips over the radiator, and it's locked into place. There we go. Both sides locked in. And that is that. Everything's installed. Now, the only other thing I do have to do is put the other side back on, but I do have to plug in the fan that's on the plexiglass here. Now remember when I first started this, I said I was going to unplug the hard drive here. The reason for that is I just want to run off of the SSD until I have Windows installed on it, and then make sure that I have everything that I want backed up, because I did back everything up, but sometimes some things fall through cracks. But I want to get it started on the SSD drive, and then when I know everything is squared away, I will plug this drive in and then reformat it and use it as storage. So I'm just going to unplug this drive real quick from the power source. There we go. And just put that to the side for now. So this is the left side panel, and it's got a fan attached to it, and here is the connector here, and down here next to one of the USB cords is a fan port down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this in down there. Plugged in down there nicely. Tuck these cords behind here so you don't see them as much. Alright, there we go. I got the side panel on, and I'm just going to put a screw on the back here. Remember, I got to pull it back off so I can plug in the hard drive. But that's that for now. Let's turn it over. And let's try and organize this rat's nest back here and close this up. Alright, not so difficult. There we go. I just got to put some screws in the back of it. These thumb screws here. Alright, we're ready to go. Got everything installed on here. Not so bad. This is what the front looks like. We have the card reader installed and the USB 3.0 ports there. I have an open bay here. Might do something with that in the future. And of course I've got my DVD drive right up here. So it's all set, ready to go. Everything's installed. Let's fire this thing up, put Windows on it, and hopefully, keep my fingers crossed, everything will work just fine.